Ladies and gentlemen, this is a tragic part of our own history, that we have been faced with self-proclaimed judges. Because what those drone murders come down to, they are nothing less than flying drumhead court-martials, much like those the SS and the German Wehrmacht applied towards the end of the Second World War. And, ladies and gentlemen, what sense does it make to be patting ourselves on the back, saying victoriously, "Isn't it great that we're sitting here while the others have been killed?" This is not acceptable. It is our right as the German people that our own government adheres to the Constitution. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to impute Gerhard Schröder with anything. He showed great courage in regard to the Iraq War, unlike many others at that time. Just around 2 years ago, at the time of the Ukraine crisis, he commented on the illegal war against the Federal Republic of Yugoslavia. Of course, he had broken international law in giving the Bundeswehr the order to attack Yugoslavia. Ladies and gentlemen, to the German press this was worth no more than half a sentence. And this is someone who pledged his allegiance to the Constitution and knew the degree of penalty it stipulates. As the European Union, we let ourselves be represented by the likes of Tony Blair in the Near East conflict. And they led us into one illegal war after the other. Ladies and gentlemen, we cannot allow this to happen any longer. And ladies and gentlemen, I have to put this plain and simple. All of this is an inquiry into the self-esteem of this country. We joined NATO as a defensive alliance. And if you, Mrs. Reimann, ask your husband, who, as a representative of the left parliamentary group, still advocates for honoring the NATO treaty obligations, why no one here has ever known the German parliament to agree to NATO as an offensive military formation. Never. And because it was well known that parliaments would never agree to NATO's change of character, the discussion of these issues in the parliaments was consistently avoided. The new strategic deliberations of NATO were articulated around 1999. And ever since, NATO has been in free fall in respect to international law as well as national considerations. And this is being carried out at the expense of our own soldiers. This cannot be tolerated. And we know what really matters in this regard. We want to gain influence in what could be called the power to shape our future. And that's why we must appeal to the Supreme Court in this matter. What is going on in their mind when they contemplate NATO deployments and their own constitution? Ladies and gentlemen, all that I just elaborated on has led the Supreme Court to express the fantastic insight that, considering worldwide developments, the alteration of the contract purpose from a defensive alliance to an offensive formation constitutes an evolution of the contract purpose. Ladies and gentlemen, if you take some time to reflect on all of this, our country, after 1949, was always an imperfect country. Otherwise, we'd never have seen the likes of Willy Brandt or Helmut Kohl, and others, no question. But how did we end up at this point where, after all that we have attained, and let me use here the word attainment, we are expected to put up with all that is being done today? Ladies and gentlemen, we must resist these developments. Ladies and gentlemen, where are the German generals today who tell NATO we're not going to join you in an offensive war? Where is a chancellor who might have spoken with the American president about the causes of mass migration? He is, after all, the personified cause of the migrant crisis. He's waging the wars, after all. Ladies and gentlemen, if it should come to such disastrous developments, as much of the evidence suggests, and as my colleague Albrecht Müller just pointed out, then we shall, even if only as notarized certification, we choose to raise our voice, and we will.